Good morning, traders, and welcome to this week's market analysis class, Monday the 28th of August. Yes, I am doing the class pre-recorded. I have prior engagements that does not allow me to do it live today, so I have taken the time to record this for you. Before we start, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay, let's start off with the fundamentals and the news and what's been happening. Well, last week was pretty much really we had the euro was the big winner for the week, while the Aussie, the pound, the JPY gold and WTI, the commodities, pretty much ended the week where it started. We took some roundabout turnarounds against the US dollar, but at the end of the week, pretty much finished where it all started. And the major thing to come out of last week was the meetings that were happening at Jackson Hole, and Miss Janet Yellen. Her main concerns were, well, her speech basically indicated that they were content with how things were going, and the two main goals that they were trying to achieve were on track, and pretty much everything was all well and set. Essentially, she didn't really say anything about what may happen in next month's policy meetings, whether there will be the chance of a rate increase. Investors didn't take to that news very well and pretty much dumped the US dollar, and the euro being the major winner there, as the euro we're getting very, very close to the 120 handle now. And when we come and have a look at those charts, I'll just explain a couple of things, especially about trend trading and things like that. So that was the main news that came out last week. This week, as I'm showing you from my screen right now, pretty much it's all one-way traffic. It's all about the US dollar this week. And we'll start off with local news for Australia. We have private capital expenditure on Thursday coming out. That's about it for the Aussie dollar. Not too much this week, so very, very quiet. In the UK GBP, we have manufacturing PMI numbers on Friday. Again, not much other major news coming out. It's really all about the US dollar, and there's a plethora of data coming out. So from consumer confidence, we have, of course, the first Friday of the month is non-farm week. So we have the private sector ADP non-farm employment change on the Wednesday, and then of course the big one, which is in the late Friday night, 10:30, we have non-farm payroll numbers, so the average hourly earnings, the employment change, and the employment rate. So those are the three big ones. So this is the biggest moving data event of the week. Pretty much, as I've mentioned, it's one-way traffic. It's all US data. So this particular week, it's pretty much any US based pair that will have the volatility that you're looking for. So perhaps maybe something like the GBP USD or the Aussie USD will give you plenty of movement. Guys, as always, just please remember that the times that I'm showing you are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time. Okay, let me bring forward my chart and we shall begin the analysis for the week. We'll start off with the Aussie dollar, and the first thing, I always leave my lines on my chart so that it reminds me of where I'm at, and these are things that I could possibly be tracking. Let me zoom in. I'm on a daily chart as always. Now, looking at this, really last week we were about this candle over here, and I said let's wait till we hit this line and let's see if we get an opportunity to trade in this direction. It's also a psychological high for a long time, so it's the 80-60 level. Nothing has really changed. I haven't had a new opportunity on these fractal candles. There's no set up there to be a buyer, I guess, if you were thinking that I'm in trend. So Aussie dollar this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on with where I left off, and I'm looking to see what happens in this region there. If I get an inside candle or an engulfing candle, a price action reversal pattern to give me the opportunity to become a seller. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to start to map out this region here, because I do get the feeling that we may do a little bit of this before we either push that way or push back down this way. So I'm just going to leave it just to remind me where I'm at. It helps with my analysis of charts. But other than that, on the Aussie dollar, there's nothing else really happening. So we'll leave it at that. So that's our analysis for the week for the Aussie dollar. Let's have a look at the Euro USD. Okay, Euro USD, this is a classic example of trend trading, and you just never know when the trend is going to finish. Okay, now a couple of important things that I want to highlight. First of all, we still have this gap that was created back in April. All right, this gap now is let me just measure it out for you. It's a nearly 1200 pip gap, so that is huge. So for anybody who has, if you've ever seen anybody teach you or talk to you about gap trading, yes, you can gap trade, but you must still have an exit strategy. You just cannot hang on. So because it's a leveraged product, most accounts will actually blow up by the time, this gap may close. I've seen gaps that close like 3 years later. Okay, so whether your account can withstand that pain, I don't know if that's going to happen. All right, so that's the first thing that I want to point out. The second thing is while you're in trend, just continue with it. Now, what would have been trade number 21 in the trading challenge was this trade over here. Okay, so at the time, just bear in mind that we've been going up and up and up and up and up, and then we get the inside candle, and that would have been trade number 21. Obviously, it didn't form part of the of the challenge, but it was literally triggered on the same day. But I had taken another one, so this one didn't count. So this morning when I woke up, basically my full target was hit up here. All right. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is if you're in trend and you keep getting setups, that's the whole idea. The trend will continue until it is otherwise proven that it will not. All right, so you never know when it's going to stop, and if you see it, you just keep on trading it. All right, so what that now means is we have broken that high. Okay, that has broken. So if the next big psychological level is going to be the 120 level. So let me just zoom out a little bit and let me just see how this chart fits, if there's anything else. Okay, now one thing that I need to point out, see there was a lot of support up that region, and there was a lot of things in there. Basically, this whole region here, it's what I like to call, it's like a little bit of an air gap. Imagine you're digging through the earth, okay, you're digging a hole, and then all of a sudden you hit a cavity, like a little cave, and then you can fall straight through to the other side. So this is what this feels like. So when this kind of pattern arises, generally there's not much things to offer that resistance level, and generally it will continue to go through that air gap, as we so speak. So now I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is just the characteristics of experience and what I've seen from charts. So what I was trying to find was to see if at the 120 level, which, let me just draw a line, if at the 120 level there was any kind of resistance. And there you see I've just drawn let me just go a little bit further. Oh, there's nothing there. 120 could offer a little bit of resistance purely because it's a psychological level. Can we try and get a sneaky trade in there? Yeah, look, we can try it. But it's against what I've normally been doing. Look, my gut reaction is this. This is what I feel. I feel that this may push towards the 120, may kick back a little, and then when it kicks back right there, that's when I want to attempt to trade it as a buy one more time and just continue with the trend. So that's my plan for the Euro USD. Okay, hope that makes it a little bit clear. Hope you get a lot of the message that I'm trying to send to you about trend trading. It's just the way it works. If there's anybody that's been trading a T-chaser on this particular chart, you would notice that it's up quite a significant amount. All right, let's move on. Let's have a look at the GBP USD. Okay, GBP USD on Friday on the daily call, I put out this particular chart, and this is a really good example of an engulfing candle. All I've done is just zoom in here. These two candles were set on Friday, and the way that you trade the engulfing candle, and I mentioned it on Friday's recording, if you want to go back and look at it to have a look what I said about it. But basically, you would enter at the open of the candle, which is right there. Your stop is just there, and you can see that this trade easily made about 3 to 1. Okay, and then possibly some. Now, if you were waiting for this candle to complete because you wanted to see if it became an inside candle, well then that's okay, you can do that. Essentially then off these two candles there's no setup, so you actually get no trade. But because it was such a nice pattern, where we had nice touches on both sides, it was definitely worth the risk. So this one has played out really, really nicely. So what happens next now? So ideally for the GBP USD, what happens next is, well, really, I really wanted to go back up to the top and then just hit it back down. Other than that, there's really nothing else that I absolutely love channels, and you just got to be patient with them. Sometimes it takes a while, but when you hit them, you can get really, really nice trades out of them, swinging in and out of the channel. Okay, so that one's played out for us, unfortunately. So right at this particular point in time, I guess the only other option, if you were very pessimistic on the pound, if we got a price action set up there to move, I guess, change of trend, if that was going to play out like this, I'm not sure. I would not want to trade that though. Okay, so I'm just pointing it out just in case anybody else. For me, I want this to go right up to the top, and up there I want to hit it in this direction. That's my preferred trade. That's the one that I will be waiting out for and looking out for. Okay, so there you have it. That's GBP USD. Let's have a look at US yen. Okay, US yen, we drew this channel, which is like a double top, double bottom. It's perfectly horizontal. And let me just zoom in and have a closer look in this region. Actually, we triggered a trade because last week I think, so hang on, this is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, yes. Okay, so if memory serves me correct, last week we said let's wait for these two candles. Well, this one was still forming, but I said let's wait for it to complete, and if it completes and it becomes an inside candle, well then essentially we can trade here. Now you would have entered there at the break in this direction, and you would actually technically still be in this trade, just stops around there. We're here right now, we're slightly down, so we technically are in a trade based on these two candles over there. Alright, so since we're in a trade here, we will leave this one and just wait and let's see if this one plays out. So this one would have triggered last Tuesday. Alright, so after the weekly analysis class of Monday. Alright, so there you have it, US yen. Let's move along. Euro yen now. Let me just zoom out a little bit. I just want to see a bigger picture. Okay, this pattern's starting to look a little bit strange. My natural instincts here is I want to box that up a little bit. And because I've done that, what I'm going to look for is I'm just going to see what happens over here to see if I can get an opportunity to trade it back there. And ideally, I may get a couple. If the consolidation region plays out, I may get a couple of opportunities to take these types of trades. Okay, so I'm just boxing this area and I'm just going to keep an eye on it. If I do get a setup over here, I could possibly attempt the first trade in a downward direction. Other than that, there's nothing else available on the Euro Yen. So I shall move on. Let's have a look at the Kiwi. Kiwi is an interesting one. I did put out on the daily call Kiwi that we had a head and shoulder pattern. So that would have been, there's one shoulder, there's the head, and there's the other shoulder. Okay, typically the way that you trade this is you trade them at the break of the neckline. Let me just draw that with a straight line so that we can fix it up. Give me one moment. So we would trade the break of that. So in theory, we have broken it. So if the way that you would typically also expect targets, your stop would be on the shoulder, okay? And this distance here is kind of the distance that you can expect as a reward, okay? Which basically puts this trade at about 2 to 1, where this is your stop distance and this is your target distance. All right, so if you've taken, some of you may be in this trade, some of you may not. What you may be able to do, if this current candle starts to turn around and goes down, we can possibly move our stop down to there, okay, to minimize your risk and see if that plays out. So if anybody wants to take this trade, technically you can. You're entering at roughly the same, a little bit better level. I don't. The door is really open for this trade to play out. Okay, so let's just wait and watch it. But on the Kiwi dollar, for those of you who want it, we are ready. You can take it right now. If you didn't take it last, I think that's Friday. If you didn't take it Thursday, Wednesday. If you did not take it last Wednesday, well, definitely you can enter it now. It's at about the same level, a little bit better. And see how that plays out for you. Okay, so there you have it, Kiwi dollar head and shoulder pattern. US CAD. Okay, the US CAD, remember this is one that I said it feels like it's one of those bouncy ball kind of patterns where it comes down, bounces on the floor, comes back, may bounce again, a little bit less, and then goes through. That's what it feels like. When I looked at it last week, we were over here and it's still coming down. So there's two options here. When we get, well, I'm not saying that we're going to get there, but if we get down to this level, okay, look for some kind of price action and you may attempt to trade in this direction. It may just turn around for us. Okay, let's just have a look. Even if there is enough target for you and that target is underneath this line, so let's say it was to this level there, and that still satisfies something that is better than 1 to 1, okay, then that's okay. You know, there's enough room to attempt that trade. All right, so that's pretty much what I can see here. So if we get like a really nice inside candle, something like that, your stop would be something shallow, your entry would be about there. So this would be your stop distance to make the obvious, and then you can see that over here, this distance here would still be twice as big as this distance, so there's enough target. The target ratio would be okay as long as the two candle formations look like that. Whatever we get, just measure it and let's see if we have enough. Then by all means, let's just go for it. Okay, so there you have it, US CAD. Let's have a look at gold. Here we are. So we're still on this triple top level and we're waiting to see if we get a setup. Do we have one now? Let me zoom in. Look at this, all these candles over here and we did not get a single setup. I'm thinking, can I get one off these two? Has today's candle already gone too high? Let me just measure. 1294.68 and this one is 1294.57. So today's candle is already higher than Friday's candle. So we cannot get an inside candle from this situation. The only thing that we can get is possibly a body engulfing if it ends up like this. And this will be red. Oh dear. It's a shame. Such a good level. Okay, we can't get a trade here, guys. Unfortunately, if you get the body engulfing and you like it, by all means, that's the only possibility. But other than that, we're not going to be able to trigger a trade off this top level, not based on price action. So unless you just want to trade off the level, that's something I never do. My probability decreases significantly compared to when I wait for price action setups. All right, so let's have a look at oil. Zoom out, take a bit of a closer look. Very interesting pattern. Let's go to 4 hour. I can feel the convergence. You can feel that triangle here. Let me just draw it and just go to a different time zone to see what it looks like. Let me just catch that and go to a 4 hour. This one's sticking out too much. See, when I go to a 4, oops, sorry. When I go to a 4 hour, this is outside and I don't like it. Let's see if there's any way that I can redraw that. Give me 1 second. No, it's too tight. Okay, there's nothing here, guys. It feels like there wants to be, but it's not happening. So let's not force it. This market right now is starting to get really, really tight. So it's gonna move away in one of the two directions. But I don't really have a setup to help me trade that. All right, so I will leave it alone. Alright guys, that's it. That pretty much wraps up. Apologies that I cannot do this class live. As I mentioned before, I have a engagement that I cannot get out of. So I have taken the time to record this for you. If you do have any questions, please email us, get in contact with us. Follow me on Twitter, on ChatFX. Let me show you the details. Where are my details? Oh. Don't have them on me. So look, if you do, just get in contact with us. More than happy to help you. Have a great trading week. Here are the times of the most important news. Don't forget it is non-farm payroll week. So Friday 10:30. If you want to see a fast moving market, if you've never seen it before, just log on and have a bit of a look. Other than that, just to make sure that you're aware of any of these events if you're going to get caught out on a trade accidentally. Have a great trading week. I'll speak to you tomorrow on the daily call, and I will be back next week live. Okay? Bye for now.